My dear compatriots, the global COVID-19 epidemic is a real threat to the collective and individual health of Cameroonians. In view of the gravity of the situation, I felt it was my duty to address you in order to share with you my understanding of the situation and, above all, my proposals to avoid a humanitarian disaster for our country. To begin with, I must tell you the truth. The ongoing coronavirus epidemic is a serious danger for our country. Believe me, these are not alarmist remarks, but an alert based on the obligation to tell the truth and raise awareness, an obligation that my status as a citizen and public official imposes on me, having at heart the fate of my compatriots and the destiny of the nation. Despite the 24-hour flip-flop of the government, I immediately welcomed the measures taken on March 17th because they are likely to preserve the health of Cameroonians in the face of this dreadful epidemic. I will remain optimistic as long as I have confidence that the measures announced are effective and are being carried out with full responsibility. As everyone knows, I strongly value the life of Cameroonians. Thus, I will rigorously assess the implementation of the announced measures and their relevance. Therefore, I will immediately point out some shortcomings in the measures taken to date. For example, hotel requisitioned to receive suspected cases have not been prepared in advance, whereas in principle, such an operation requires both psychological and practical preparation of hotel staff, precise identification of the health corridors within the hotel, and deployment of aseptic measures before, during, and after the epidemic. If such measures are not taken beforehand, spread of the virus beyond the required spaces is likely and will be a factor in the contamination of a larger number of people. The non-preparation of treatment centers for people infected by the coronavirus, as denounced by the Cameroon Renaissance Movement in its press release of the last March 4th. Non-compliance with containment measures by certain people, including public officials. My dear compatriots, despite these erring ways of the government, the seriousness of the situation requires everyone to contribute to the successful management of the fight against the COVID-19 epidemic. This threat will be stamped out only through collective public action involving all the actors concerned. With this in mind, I request that the following system be implemented without delay. The creation of quarantine camps dedicated to monitoring suspected or confirmed people infected with COVID-19. Free and systematic testing for all suspected cases, as well as simplifying their acquisition procedures and fair distribution of tests according to actual demand. Free medical and psychological care for confirmed cases. A measure to massively relieve overcrowding in prisons in order to reduce the risk of spreading the virus. A measure to prevent transmission in the markets, in particular by increasing awareness and hygiene rules, by instituting, namely, the wearing of masks and gloves provided by the government. The creation of a national commission in charge of the management of the COVID-19 epidemic and the protection of Cameroonians against this disease. This commission must be chaired by the acting president of the Republic and not by third party. Given the gravity of the situation, everyone must take responsibility and no longer delegate it as usual.
Sure.
This commission should be subdivided into several subcommissions, including a health subcommission composed of experts in clinical health, public health, and professionals in the pharmaceutical and biomedical industry. It should define the management protocols in quarantine centers. It should also design the content and media for messages to be disseminated in the general public. This subcommission should also draw up the protocol for the supply, storage, and distribution of the inputs and materials used in the care of infected persons. A para-health subcommission responsible for the definition and implementation of measures complementary to health measures. A safety subcommission whose intelligence and security actions should be part of the objective of eradicating COVID-19 in Cameroon. This subcommission should therefore ensure, among other things, the implementation of binding measures taken at the borders and within the national territory. Furthermore, I demand that the actual figures for those already infected be published. Reliable reports point to a much larger number of Cameroonians already infected. I also request that measures be taken to support economic operators and as well as households whose activities will be affected by the measures taken by the government. The protection of people and property is a sovereign task of the state. I will be particularly attentive to these support measures. Dear compatriots, I invite you to be very respectful of the hygiene measures made public by the World Health Organization in order to protect yourselves on the one hand and to protect those around you on the other hand. To those already infected with COVID-19, I wish a good and speedy recovery, while I'll extend my sincere encouragement and gratitude to the health personnel for their current and future efforts. We are a great nation, even though some people prefer to humiliate it with outdated governance and crumble it away through inflamed hatred. With the effort of each and everyone, we will be able to get through this ordeal and be even stronger to face our destiny, from which this adversity cannot turn us away. Advice: offer a soap or some water to the many who are in need in our towns and villages. A flawless solidarity shall be the key of our victory over the pandemic. Let us be united and protect each other. Long live Cameroon.